You're listening to the Electrocasts podcast. This is podcast number 6. We recently sat down for some music and chat with Philadelphia-based composer-producer Snake Robot. 2015 has seen 2 Snake Robot releases, the recently issued Strictly for the Mind Travellaz EP and the full-length The Grand Awakening album, both highlights of independent electronic music for this year. Welcome, and thank you so much once again for listening and continuing to listen to Electrocasts. This is Jeff, and I'm here with Case, and our guest this week is TS, better known as Snake Robot. We're happy to have TS on the Electrocast podcast to discuss his new EP and anything else that he would like to talk about regarding his music. Hello, TS. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. And good morning to everybody out there, man. Much respect. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Absolutely. I'd like to start with a question, Case, if you don't mind. I'm interested in your musical background, TS. I hear a lot of I think there are complex things going on in Snake Robot music, especially in regard to rhythmic programming. It's informed by a lot of different influences, it seems to me. What's your musical background?
You hit the nail right on the head, man. Drums were my first instrument. That was the instrument that I picked up at about 10 years old. I grew up, I would say, I guess it would be considered lower middle class, maybe. You know, we didn't have a ton of money, but luckily I went to a school that was just really cool. It was kind of like an alternative private school. And they offered drum lessons for $10 a week. You would get your lesson a week, but all throughout the week, it is for latchkey kids, so all throughout the week, you can pretty much just practice as much as you want until the school closed or whatever, and or you were ready to go home or whatever. So I just did that for years. Yeah, and I guess around 15, I got bit by the hip-hop bug. Me and my friends, we were all huge fans of the Wu-Tang Clan. We were influenced by that, and I was really fascinated by the RZA. So I decided to try to make some pretty bad imitations of his beats. And but I just kept working at it, and eventually I grew with another guy to just do a lot of hip hop production around the Philadelphia area with local rappers and things like that. And that kind of ran its course. I started jamming with some really good friends that I still jam with to this day. Every week we just pretty much just pick up whatever instruments are around, bang on them, hit them, tickle them, whatever we do. And that's basically how the Snake Robot project developed. I just started getting really, really fascinated with synthesizers, picked those up, mixed them all with the drum programming and the, minimal true talent that I have as far as playing other instruments. And just mixed it all together into a little pot with all the influences that I have, all the music that I love. I don't really care about genre and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, it just comes from everywhere.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Yeah, I noticed, here and there some real jazzy sounds creeping in, particularly in A Clear Forest Pool, which we'll listen to later today.
Yeah. Man, you're on it, man. I'm telling you. I'm a huge fan of Coltrane and the whole free jazz movement of the 60s and the 70s, and even some of the bebop and the cool jazz stuff of the 50s and 60s. I'm just a music lover. I just kind of pick and choose all the best of everything,
That's awesome that you said that, T, because one of my favorite trumpet players ever came out of Philadelphia, Lee Morgan. You know Lee?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Just amazing. God rest his soul. Yeah. So that's very interesting that, like a lot of us, what comes out when you finally get to not even a finished product, but you sit down and you start meandering around on the keyboard, or you start programming drums, or even sitting at a kit, what comes out is just a distillation of everything that you've ever heard. And it's quite, and it's not even musical necessarily. It's social, it's historical, it's feelings. So much goes into the music. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. See, I'm the kind of person to where I will put myself in weird situations on purpose, just to, I don't know, just it's all about living life, man. And like you said, everything that you experience, everything that you see, it goes into the music. All of it does. And of course, it's not all about the music. It's all about living life, being fluid, being in the moment, and just trying to see the world through as many different lenses as you can, you know?
Yeah.
So there are a lot
absolutely.
of references to Zen, to Buddhism in your music, in your titles. Is that a part of your life? Is that a part of your art?
It is. It is very much so. I start every day off with at least a 20-minute meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I find it balances me, of course, and all the other cliches of what Buddhism. I don't consider myself a true Buddhist because, of course, I have my lapses of discipline just like everyone else, and there's a few things that I'm not quite 100% in agreement with when it comes to that sort of way of thinking, but. Again, it's all about taking the best. I use this phrase a lot. You eat the meat and then you spit out the bones. You know what I mean? So yeah, that I just pretty much examine all the parts of Buddhism that I think are really helpful to me and helpful to keeping my mind in the place in which it needs to be in order for me to be a compassionate and effective human being.
And it contributes to your sense of social justice, I assume. I read a piece of your Open That Eye album.
Mm-hmm.
And there, I mean, you make your view of the world pretty explicit there in the text that you included with that.
Yeah. That was a weird time. That was a time in which, there are things that are going on right now in America that are just downright scary to me. And
I think we're all scared by it, T.
Yeah. I'm not under the idea that my music is going to appeal to a huge amount of people. It may not. I don't know, and I don't really care. But I feel like as far as whenever you're doing art, I can't speak for anyone else, but I can say for me, I feel like it's my responsibility to say something. Speak what you believe, say what you mean, and mean what you say. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can make that explicit. Sometimes you can kind of make it a situation to where you're kind of putting the medicine in a chocolate bar, so to speak. I just think it's really important to say something. I really do.
So can you talk a little bit about how that expresses itself in your music? I mean, your art is your expression of your life and how you view the world you live in. How does it express itself? Maybe I can give one hint. You like to use a lot of growly sounds, a lot of saw-based synths. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does that tell us? What is the message?
Well, I've always been interested in sort of mixing feels. So like maybe I'll have some distorted bass, but on top of it, I'll have some very light keys or some sort of ambient synths kind of drifting over it. Mm-hmm. I'm just interested in that from a sonic perspective. On top of that, I think that that's just kind of a reflection of life itself. I mean, there's some nasty ugliness always lurking underneath the beauty, but then there's the beauty is also a big part of the picture as well. And I think that you have to look at everything as a whole.
Yeah. So
that kind of leads into your idea with purity and defilement, I would presume.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's funny you say that because when you actually examine how the song goes, it would actually make more sense to call it defilement and purity, because I think the defilement part is really the first part of that tune, and then it sort of gets more into the purity aspect of it when I feel like the music sort of ascends, or at least that was what I was trying to do from a visual standpoint when listening to the music.
Around the minute 4 or so, there is a change in rhythm in that, right? It goes from a more or less up-tempo, almost like a fast dub track to a down-tempo, and emotionally, you create an emotional change there around 4 minutes. And I think that's probably one of the things you meant, like with the sort of the transition towards purity.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's all about juxtaposition. That's just always been an interesting concept to me. Yeah.
And you do that well, T, in your Snake Robot music. You do that very well. As far as purity and defilement is concerned, you know, you have this really nice kind of 12/8 or almost 12/8 rhythmic kind of shuffle, sort of shuffle groove going on, and then the syncopated percussion comes in and it just lifts the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that observation, man. Thank you. That's pretty much the whole concept behind it.
Another thing that I noticed about purity and defilement is you seem to choose a lot of sounds that have almost like human vocalizations in them. You know, so they're not voice patches, but the way you use the sounds, there seems to be a lot of human or a sense of vocalization. You know, you repeat the phrases, for quite a bit, and it almost feels like chants and mantras. Is that what you're after?
It is what I'm after, but it's also sort of, those are kind of the textures that, I don't know, my ears maybe are naturally drawn to. Because to be honest with you, before I sit down with my instruments, I rarely have any idea whatsoever what I'm going to do. And a lot of times I don't even care whether it's good or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll just lay something down, and sometimes I'll hit it in one shot, and what I kind of just put down is good enough, and it's a finished piece. Then sometimes I'll go back to it maybe a week or so later, and I'll hear it, and I'm like, okay, it's all right, but there's some things I have to kind of change, maybe turn down, turn up, or eliminate for it to be considered a finished piece. And then sometime I have to completely change the piece 100%. Maybe there's one or two ideas in there that I kind of like, so I'll keep that. But everything around it has to go, and I'll just maybe create a whole different piece around the elements that I do like. And then sometimes it just gets scratched, you know? So, yeah.
Right, neat. Hey, why don't we take a listen to Purity and Defilement? So everybody, we're talking with Snake Robot. We're talking about his new album, and we're going to listen to a track called Purity and Defilement. So that track ends abruptly. All of a sudden, it just stops, and you left me wanting. You left me wanting more. What was your intention with that compositional choice?
Well, hey, then maybe you have to play it again.
He wants you to put it on repeat, Case.
What I mean is, if you want more, then hey, play it again. Keep playing it.
Yeah. But it was very surprising that that the tracks just stopped so abruptly.
Yeah,
and,
it caught me off guard.
Endings are tricky with me because I don't like fade outs. That's like something for whatever reason, I don't know why. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Fade outs. I don't like them.
It's like a cop out, right?
It is exactly. So, and of course, no disrespect to anybody who uses fade outs.
Sure.
It's just for me. I don't know why, but it just annoys me. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But so again, the track has to end at some point. Sometimes I'll sort of fade out certain parts because I like to fade out certain parts, but not just fade out the whole song like a radio edit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then sort of just kind of wind the track down, or sometimes I'll just get bored with that and say, okay, that's it. Got it. There you go.
At about 4 minutes, you do a rhythm change, and then it kind of comes back to the earlier rhythm at about 5 minutes into the song. But your synth lead has this sort of sadness to it, and I was very intrigued by that. What motivated you to take your track in that direction? And I'm not saying that you intended sadness, but it comes across to me as sadness.
Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting interpretation of it. I don't know. Again, a lot of times it's really just all about what sounds good. What I think sounds good. What I think goes with the rhythm. I always want to combine a certain amount of beauty and a certain amount of ugliness. Again, because that encompasses all of life.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about a koan. A koan is I had to look this up because I'm not well versed in Buddhism or Zen practice. It's a paradox to be meditated upon that is used to train Zen Buddhist monks to abandon ultimate dependence on reason and to force them into gaining sudden intuitive enlightenment. So you talked a little bit about, the contrasts between beauty and ugly, the contrasts in your music, the growly sounds and then the beautiful light, stringy, sort of sad synthesizer sounds here and there. And you juxtapose that a lot in your music. Is that what a koan is about?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, once again, you guys are on it. That's exactly it. Of course, the piano, that was me trying to, sometimes when I'll get influenced by a certain artist, I'll try to maybe borrow certain elements of what they do, but then add my personal touch to it or my personal aesthetic to it. And that was made around the time when I had gotten really interested in John Cage. And of course, I was reading his... I guess you might call it an autobiography, but it was a book that kind of explored his the influence on Zen on his life. So, it was just really sort of like a John Cage influenced piece, again, with my aesthetic and my personal sounds of choice kind of maybe tossed in there to, give it a bit of individuality.
It's a great opening to the EP. TS.
So I think it would be wonderful if we take a listen to a koan. I think it begins with a beautiful piano piece. Before we take a listen, and tell us a little bit about your instrumentation, because is that a acoustic piano that you use, or is that a piano patch?
It's a piano patch, but I put a few effects on it to try to give it that prepared piano sound. I can't play piano, by the way. I pick and poke, just like, you know what I mean? But to me, it's all about the feel, and it's all about what sounds good, what feels good. So,
I shared it with you. You know, I have some keyboards, but and all I know is that there's black and white keys on there, and it's just you know, let your soul search on there and let it find what it's looking for.
It's beautifully stated.
It's it's kind of a neat process, and not to be afraid. You know, just to just let it go.
George Clinton is a huge hero of mine, and one of his greatest phrases is, "Do the best you can, and after that, funk it."
Yeah, the P-Funk.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
I listen to that stuff all the time. And when I want to get happy, that's what I listen to, you know. George Clinton and Parliament and stuff like that.
So why don't we listen to a cone? This is the leadoff track from Snake Robot's current EP, Strictly for the Mind Travellaz. And this is based on a meditation on a Buddhist paradox. This is called a cone. Stirring track, Snake. I really like that. You know, one thing I was wondering was what your recording process is. I don't think you use soft synths. I think you use hardware. Is that correct?
No, I don't. And I use only hardware, like you said. And that's really not a choice. When I started doing beats and messing around with synths and things like that, it was at a time, and I don't want to give away my age or date myself, but it was at a time where doing music on software was looked at as kind of like, that's not what real producers do. You know what I mean? It was hip hop, and, you know, of course, a large part of hip hop is kind of like the machismo aspect of, yeah, no, that's whack, that's cool. You know what I mean? So at the time, software was considered to be kind of not cool.
Right.
Of course, that was really silly. Software is awesome, and some of the best music that I've ever heard was created on a computer. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that was just the idea at the time. And plus, it really wasn't available to me. I didn't have a computer, so it was all about, if you wanted to make beats, you had to get an MPC or ASR 10 or, you know, one of those sort of things, and, you know, find your way that way. So I just come from that time period, and that's just what I'm comfortable with. But if I came in another time period, I probably would do all software. Sure. As far as the actual equipment that I use, I'll just say that I use whatever I can get my hands on. Broken, not all the way working correctly since. Just digital stuff that people don't like, that people just kind of throw away. Stuff I get in pawn shops. There are a couple of nice synths that I have, but most of the stuff that I have is just kind of like secondhand or maybe stuff that wasn't considered to be the top of the line at the time. I'm always really interested in people who can do really cool, inventive things on equipment that's like maybe considered a piece of crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
That interests me. I think it's really cool how, like in punk rock, they would use these super cheap guitars and make music that, changed music. You know what I mean? But it was just on maybe like a Fender copy that's just like a total ripoff that's just like not even that good. Sure. Maybe cost $50, $75. And hey, man, just pick it up, play it, let your soul speak.
Right. Yeah. Right, and so not to be limited by equipment, but just to use whatever is in front of you and go with it. Yeah,
absolutely, man. That's a fascinating concept to me. Not that using a great top of the line, beautiful, sort of sexy pieces of equipment isn't attractive, because it definitely is. It's also really interesting to kind of put together sort of like this collage with, like, maybe, I don't know, what people consider junk.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it kind of like fits very much with your sort of your stance in life, right? Is sort of to be fully where you are, to be fully in life. And
Snake, you do that when you jam with your friends too. You guys just pick up anything that you can find and make music with whatever, right?
Exactly.
Well, on your Bandcamp site, I think you have about 5 or 6 releases. And this year you released Grand Awakening and Strictly for the Mind Travellaz.
Yes.
How do these contrast with your work from last year, like Blood for Dreams LP and the Mystic, I think it's called the Mystic 2 EP?
Yeah.
How was was your approach different, or did you use different influences?
Not really consciously. Again, it's just more about how life moves on, and once you listen to new sorts of music, because I'm always trying to find inspirational music that can kind of maybe I can learn from.
Yeah.
Or even if it isn't that good, just something that I can just take from everything. You know what I mean? And that's in life. And as you add more things, of course, your music's going to change a little bit. The process didn't change much. It was still pretty much just get on the instruments and, let it hang out. So, yeah, the process pretty much remained the same. But, of course, as life moves on, your pool of experiences sort of gets bigger. Then, of course, it's going to change the way you make music and how you think of music, and it's going to change your ideas.
It sounds like you just go with the flow. Like, flow is a really important concept for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Super important.
Improvisation.
Like the great Bruce Lee said, be like water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very, very nice. So one of the things that we were very interested in, the track called Only You Can Save Your Soul, this sense of the answer is inside of you, this sense of self-reliance, the sense of being responsible for your life seems to really speak out of that title. What was your inspiration for that track? And you use a number of repeated melodies that weave, and so that almost gives a feeling of meditation of a group of people. But so can you tell us a little bit about the track Only You Can Save Your Soul? What were you after with that track?
Well, again, you guys are really on point with your observations, because that's it. Like I say, I start the day off with a little meditation every single day. Well, maybe not every single day. Like I say, I have lapses in discipline just like everyone else, but I try to start most days off with a meditation. Then you sort of get up, you get rocking and rolling, get it moving. There's a climax to every single day. Then, you sort of wind down and then time to do it all over again. And if you listen to the music, I feel like I try to kind of create that sort of arc in that tune. Now, as far as the title, that was something that actually did come in a meditation. I don't want to sound too, not to sound too woo-woo, but it definitely was something that actually did come in a meditation. And that just came from me having the idea that whatever it is that is going wrong in your life, the only person who's actually lived in all of your experiences and seen all that you've seen exactly the way you've seen it is you. So it's just really all about kind of maybe taking control of your life, and it's supposed to be sort of an empowering thing. You know what I mean? That
it's very motivational.
It's nothing wrong with going to go see some mental health professionals or any sort of professional that you need to see, because it definitely is very, very, very helpful and useful to certain people, to many people, to everyone who needs it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the soul is something that is very personal, and no one else can save what's going on deep inside you better than yourself. No one can.
Better than yourself.
Nice.
Very nice. I've found the start of that track very interesting because it begins with a fairly dark sound, but you put like almost like a bell sound, like a Buddhist bell over top of that. And then all of a sudden the song starts breathing. Is that like this awareness that you just talked about? You just open up the song all of a sudden in a nice down-tempo rhythm and almost some vinyl scratching in there, but it just starts breathing. It just opens up. It's beautiful. When
the meditation stops, hey, man, the next thing starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right. But what you do with the composition, you know, by the way particularly the intro of the composition is you really get my attention.
Yeah.
You get me to listen to your track. So I thought it was compositionally also very interesting.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So about halfway, and you talked about this earlier, halfway through that song, just about halfway, there's a marked turn in the song, and there's a lot of distortion coming in. I mean, my meters were pushing in the red.
Oh.
And so what are you summoning us to do? It feels like a call for action.
I feel like the music that I love the most hits you in a really visceral way. And I think sometimes I like to kind of challenge the way people listen to music, because a lot of times I think people judge music based on the standards that were already set with other music. And sometimes it's like, well, this is like all the music that I've heard, so therefore all the music that I've heard is right.
Right.
You know, it was engineered in a certain way, it was mixed a certain way, it was recorded a certain way. Who says it's right? I mean, just because everyone does it? I mean, you know, hey, listen, if it hits your ears the right way, even if it's quote unquote not mixed right or mastered right, well, hey, listen.
Yes.
It's all about how it hits you.
Yeah.
You know, and
Nice.
of course there's always ways to get the volume and the however you want it to your particular liking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonically, yeah. So why don't we listen to Only You Can Save Your Soul? This song is coming from Snake Robot's current EP, strictly for the mind Travellaz. It's a 4th track on the EP, Only You Can Save Your Soul.
Yes.
So the last track you sent us is called A Clear Forest Pool. And, you know, I mentioned earlier that there seems to be a lot of jazz, and you mentioned your Philadelphia roots in that. But that one just, I mean, that's a jazz tune, isn't it? It just oozes jazz everywhere.
It's one of my favorites.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's so nice, and the Rhodes sound you choose, it's just sets a wonderful, relaxed mood.
You can't go wrong with Rhodes, right?
What is A Clear Forest Pool about?
Sounds to me invoke images. And whenever I hear an electric piano sound or a Rhodes sound or Wurlitzer or whatever, it gives me the image of water. And as you said, that sound sort of dominates the song. And also A Clear Forest Pool, sort of just that title kind of fits in with the whole water concept. Also, A Clear Forest Pool was a book that I was reading at the time by a guy by the name of Ajahn Chah, who's this Thai Zen Buddhist master. And it's really just sort of that whole book was basically a compilation of just random thoughts of his, but I just thought it was a really insightful book, and it was a book that I was really taken by at the time. So that song was sort of an homage to that book, and of course, like I said, it sort of fit with the whole water aspect with the Rhodes sound.
Yeah, so A Clear Forest Pool almost it conjures two images to me. One is something you can see through. So, you know, when we look at a pool, it is kind of like there's something unknown about what's in it, right? But in a clear pool, we can actually see through, and we can see what's in it, so we can look inside. But at the same time, it also gives me a sense of mirroring. Like, I guess maybe because it's clear, it functions like a water surface can also mirror things very nicely. So,
man, super astute. That's exactly it.
That's exactly it seems to, represent your reflective stance to life. You seem to really ponder things, really think about things. And you say you begin your day with thinking about things. So I was wondering if that was reflected in this song, because this track, unlike the other three, has a very beautiful melody in it. It is much more melodic than the other tracks. And it's not like you're not using melody, but the other tracks are more about contrast and juxtaposition, whereas this seems to be representing a sense of peace, and there's such a beautiful melody in it. Is this another thing that just came in a moment to you?
Yeah, when I'm making a song, like I say, sometimes it's just I'll just kind of just go to any sound that it's not even a conscious thing. It's just what I'm drawn to in the moment. Yeah. And at that moment, it was just like, okay, Rhodes. I love Rhodes. Let's play with some Rhodes, And that line came out. I didn't really think about the line. It was just something that was just doom, 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 doom. You know? Oh, I like that. Build on top of that. Just keep on going. Build it up.
So you find a feel, and then it just flows from there.
Latch onto it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm really not, like I say, I'm not much of a conceptual artist as far as, okay, I'm going to make a song that's specifically about this before I do it. It's just, it's all about the feel, and I kind of form the concept based on the feel that I've laid down.
Right. Yeah. But your titles do reveal a lot about what the song means to you. I mean, you don't sing on your tracks, as far as I could tell.
No.
So the titles have a lot of weight about, to a potential listener about what the meaning is of the song to you. So for A Clear Forest Pool, we now know how you came to your title, and for Only You Can Save Your Soul, I think that came out of a meditation. A Clear Forest Pool came out of a reading of a book. So do you happen into titles just like you happen into your music?
Sometimes, but I also do want to include a sense of imagery with the music, because I think that it's all a package. It's all a package, and I think that song titles can be there's a certain art to the song title, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, there's an art to it.
Yeah.
There's usually a really cool story behind it, or sometimes it's just, hey, let's just put down some numbers,
Random stuff. Yeah.
or this is a word that seemingly doesn't make sense, but it's like from the dialect from a certain part of a certain from a certain part of the world. You know what I mean? And it's not like a part of any real language. This is just something we say on the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd kind of want to be in charge of, or at least want to suggest a way of looking at the song before you actually listen to it. I don't know. That's just the control freak in me. I can't just make the song. I got to sort of try to influence how you see it as well.
But it's the only chance you have in words, right, to let us know something, another dimension of the song besides the song itself.
It's almost setting the stage, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you said, I don't sing. I never wanted to be a vocalist. And even if I did want to be a vocalist, I'd be told, no, you're not a vocalist, dude. Sit down.
But when I listen to a Clear Forest Pool, I hear a vocal part in that. You know, have you ever? So in my mind, I hear somebody like I hear a female voice in the background, and I don't know why, but I guess it's part of the imagery that happens when you listen to music. You start adding in your own parts. But have you ever considered working with singers or collaborating?
Absolutely. I've been thinking about doing that more so recently. For the last few years, it's been since I've worked collaboratively pretty much my whole time doing music. This is really the first project in which I'm pretty much in control of the whole thing. I kind of got off on just kind of being the decider for a change. I'm a collaborator at heart, and I love to work with people. I love to kind of mix my aesthetic with someone else's who, you know, they don't have my experiences. They may not even be into the same sort of music as me, but we do find a certain common ground in our music and our ear.
Very nice.
You know, so
yeah. So maybe we can expect something from you in the future. What are your future plans? Where are you going?
Oh man, I'm just going to keep on going. Like the great Nate Dogg said, I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off.
All right. Well, I really hope these wheels are going to stay on for a long time, man.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, why don't we spend a little time listening to A Clear Forest Pool? We're talking with Snake Robot today. We're going to listen to a track from his new album. It's called A Clear Forest Pool.
Yes.
So that was I love that tune. I just love listening to it.
Me too.
I love the melody in it, and I really am delighted to have had this opportunity to get to know more about your music, and I'm sure Jeff is too.
Yep, absolutely, Case.
Where can people get your stuff? Where can they go and purchase your music or listen to your music?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me, man. It's an honor.
Thanks for being
here. You guys
here.
are just super cool, super astute. You guys know your music, man. Much respect.
Thank you.
As far as my music, Bandcamp and SoundCloud is where you can get it. You can hit me on Twitter at Way Past Surreal. I'm not a huge SoundCloud fan, so I really only put tunes on SoundCloud when I have a project to promote. And it's just like, okay, well, this is a tune from the new project. Give it a listen. Put it up on SoundCloud. But I'm not really super active on SoundCloud. So if you follow me and I don't follow you back, it's not because I'm ignoring you or I'm high-siding. It's just because I'm not a big fan of SoundCloud.
A lot of our Twitter friends are having problems with it. It seems to particularly be on like your mobile devices, like your phone, that it's a pain in the watusi.
I would say also, listeners of the podcast, not only do you want to look strictly for The Mind Travellaz, the new Snake Robot EP, and The Grand Awakening, his album from this year, but Blood for Dreams from last year was particularly great.
Yeah, just check me out on Bandcamp. I'm going to have a lot of new releases coming up. I can't exactly say when, but they'll be there. I got some more stuff coming throughout this year and next year and the year after that, and hopefully. The next moment isn't promised to you, but as we continue through life, one thing you can count on is that I'm going to be doing music and I'm going to share it.
All right. Now, is there anything we haven't asked you that you want to share with everybody?
Oh man, you guys are on it. You guys are on it, man. You guys, whatever you guys wanted to talk about is what I wanted to talk about, and this has been a great conversation. Much respect to everybody who listens. Much respect to everybody who supports. Everybody who I've connected with on Twitter. Much respect. You guys are all great musicians.
All right, man. And we'll keep supporting you.
Absolutely.
All right, T?
Oh, man, and I really, truly appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. Hey, have a great day. Sure. And, when you have some new stuff coming out, we'll talk again, all right?
Yeah. Electrocast is off the hook. Much respect.
Hey, until the wheels come off, man.
Right. Until the wheels come off.
There you go.
Okay. Take care, T.
Peace out.
Take care. All right.
Bye.